Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video game video. This time it's a new series, expensive games, hidden gems, and recommendations. The purpose of this video, and I got quite a few of these that I'm going to be releasing over the next month. The purpose of this video, there's a couple purposes for it. Number one, I want to talk about for people out there that are interested in collecting video games. As we all know, there are some that are very expensive, more expensive than others. Are they worth getting? I mean, if you're the type of collector that, yeah, I like to have it in my collection, but I also like to play it too. Is it worth getting? Is it worth spending this money? I will try to answer those questions for you. Also, for those of you out there that have a bunch of video games that you don't play anymore, or maybe you want to sell them or whatever, it'd be nice to know what you have. Is this a rare game? Is this a hidden gem? Is it expensive? Is it not? Things like that. So, hopefully in this series I can answer some of those questions for you. So I'm going to cover quite a few systems. I'm not going to cover every system. Some videos will have consoles rather, that I didn't show games for. And some, the point is like I have like, what, 7, 8, 10 systems. I'm not going to show games from each of those systems in one video. Some videos will have more of one system than another. Okay, so let's start out. I think, let's see what I have here. I got a bunch of piles here. Here's a couple of games here for the Sega Saturn. For those of you that are looking to get into the Sega Saturn, these two games are not necessarily expensive. I think one of them is not expensive at all, and the other one is maybe will run you about 50 to 60 bucks. Okay, and that game is Iron Storm. Let me put it over here. There we go. Iron Storm by Working Designs. This is basically a tactical strategy role-playing game. Basically what you can do in this, it takes place during World War II, and you can choose a side. You can take the Allies side, you can take the Empire of Japan side, or you can even take Nazi Germany side and rewrite history. It's a really, really deep, interesting strategy game, and it's a pretty good one to have. And like I said, it'll run you about maybe 50 or 60 bucks. So if you're interested in collecting, that's how much it would run you. Is it worth it? I'd say yeah. I'd definitely say it's worth about a modern game's price range. Here's another game that's probably about $30, but it's kind of a hidden gem for the Sega Saturn. It's called the Hoard. It has some of those cheesy FMVs, but it's like another one of those games that's sort of like a strategy game. Sort of. You have to build it's almost like a Sim City sort of thing too. You have to build your farms and all that stuff and build barricades around them to protect them from the incoming hordes. It's a really fun game, and I think it's not that expensive, and I would definitely recommend it. But I think it's more of a hidden gem. And here we go. One of the last I'm going to do for the Sega family in this particular video. I can't recommend this game enough. The Amazing Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. It's an inexpensive game. I think it maybe run you about 20 bucks, 25 bucks complete. And a lot of fun, a lot of 2D fun action. Now let's get to PlayStation. Let's start with PlayStation 2. Rygar, the Legendary Adventures. Some of you may remember Rygar from the arcades in the 80s. Some of you may remember Rygar from Nintendo of the 80s. Well, this is a little different. It's pretty much just an action-adventure game where you take over the character who throws the shield, almost like Captain America, and explore different regions of ancient Greece. It's a really, really fun, good game. It came out in 2002. It still holds up today. It's inexpensive. I think, once again, I don't know the exact price of it, but I don't see this thing running you more than maybe 20, 25 bucks. Would I spend 20, 25 bucks on it? If you're a collector, you want to add it to your collection, but you also want to play it, absolutely. It's well worth it. This next set is 4 games, and it's a series. And it's inexpensive. They're not hidden gems or anything like that. They're very well known. They're survival horror games, or mostly survival horror games made by the same person or team that made Resident Evil. Onimusha. This time, imagine Resident Evil in ancient or in feudal Japan. That's what the gist of this is. They use a lot of Japanese historical characters, and of course they change it around a bit. But it's really a lot of fun. And those that know a little bit about Japanese history during this time, the feudal time, it's a real delight to play. So there are 4 games. The first one, which was pretty good. The second one, out of all of them, I would say the second one is the one I recommend the least. Not that great, but not that bad. The best one, in my opinion, right here. Onimusha 3. It's the return of the original character, Samanosuke, who was in the first game. In the second game, they went with another guy. And they actually had the actor Jean Reno from The Professional and a bunch of other movies playing a character with his likeness. It takes place, it goes between ancient Japan and modern day France. So it's a really, really cool game. Good story. It sort of wraps up the Samanosuke trilogy. The best one of the original trilogy. Then they released this one, which takes place many years after Part 3. Not bad. Not bad. Not the best. I would say that the best Onimusha in the 4 of them was number 3, then number 1, then Dawn of Dreams, then number 2. They're not, like I said, they're not hidden gems. They're fairly cheap if you could find them. They're not too hard to find. They're not rare or anything. But just for those of you that are looking for good, solid PlayStation 2 games, you can't go wrong with Onimusha. And the last PlayStation 2 game I want to talk about in this video, I don't know if it's a hidden gem, but it's definitely one that's on the rise. I think it goes for like $30, $40. It's starting to go on the rise because it's a really good game. It's one that I would definitely recommend. So if you spend about $30, $40 on it, is it worth it? Yes. Klonoa 2. Once again, I'll talk about the first one in a few moments. But it takes the character of Klonoa, which is sort of like some sort of cat hybrid or whatever the hell he is. But basically it's a 2D 0.5 gaming style, which means it's a side scroller, but every now and then you'll see like the screen turn around in 3D type fashion, although still staying in 2D. That's what 2D 0.5 is. A lot of fun. It's a platformer, action platformer, great game. Definitely one that I would pick up if I were you, if you see it, especially on the cheap. And if you wind up paying $30, $40 for it, it's well worth it. Now, I want to go into some cheaper PlayStation 1 games. So if you go on your travels and you're looking for games and you see these in the bins, I would definitely pick them up. This one right here, Power Move Pro Wrestling, a cheap game. I wouldn't say it's a hidden gem, but this, if you enjoyed some of the WWF games from the Nintendo 64, the late 90s, they all got their inspiration, the way they play, from this game right here. This is the one that started it all for that type of gaming engine, which I think is still regarded as the best wrestling gaming engine. I don't know, maybe get this for $10. I got this for $1.99 like way back when. Well, it was definitely worth $1.99, but it's a really good game to play. Another good game to play, not a hidden gem, but pretty fun to play. Nightmare Creatures. Now, the graphics don't hold up. And even the graphics in Power Move Wrestling doesn't hold up well. So for those of you out there that are so used to the modern day graphics, to go back to primitive 1997 3D graphics might be a painful experience. But if you could get past that, the gameplay's pretty good. I'm not going to say that the story's wonderful, but it's a fun game to play. It's a fun game to play, and it's cheap. It'll maybe run you $15, $12. And the last of the more inexpensive PlayStation 1 games I want to talk about, Guardians Crusade. It's a role-playing game. Came out in 1999. Fun game, but once again, the graphics are a little but it plays well. The mechanics of it are really good. It's kind of easy. it's not too difficult, but there are some parts that are challenging. Definitely a good game for anybody that's just trying to get into role-playing games, and it'll probably run you about 20 bucks. Now let's get into some moderate price games for the PlayStation before we get to the really expensive ones. Here's a turn-based strategy game. Cartia. I believe in Europe it's called Rebus. Another pretty cool game on the cheap. I think it could run you about maybe 20-25 bucks. Not a hidden gem. Another game that'll run you maybe about 30 bucks. A role-playing game, pretty good. Jade Cocoon. The reason why I have so many PlayStation games is, other than it's my favorite system, there's so much for you out there. You don't have to get all the expensive ones. You don't have to get all hidden gems. There's so much out there that are cheap and that are really good, that are classics to this very day. And here's another one that's, I think, is starting to rise in value. Once again, the graphics are not that great because they've aged a little bit, but pretty fun to play. I was amazed on how much I enjoyed this game. Sort of like an action RPG game by Namco. Dragon Valor. Pretty good game. And now we're going to go with some of the expensive games. I have about 3 picked out here. So if you see these in the wild, or if they're already in your collection and you don't really want to play games anymore and you're looking to sell, it's nice to have these in your collection. Or if you're looking to buy these, I'll let you know if they're worth it. Alondra. This is the graphics, it's hand-drawn graphics, beautiful. It came out in 1997? No, 1998 this game came out. Early 1998 here in the United States. I'd say it holds up very well. Kind of like a Zelda game. You have to go to different labyrinths and a lot of puzzle solving in this game. That was a turn-off for me. A lot of puzzle solving, but I understand there are a lot of people out there that love puzzle solving, love those type of Zelda type things where you have to do like a million things to open one door. Then this is your game. But a lot of fun, good game, great graphics, held up pretty well, and it's getting more and more expensive, especially a complete copy. Complete copy must include the map. If it doesn't have the map, it's not considered complete, and it'll be a little less money. Some of you don't care about those sort of things. That's fine. But I think a complete copy of Alondra is going to run you about $70 to $90. Is it worth getting? I'd say yes. Here's another expensive game that will run you over $100 now. Strider 2. Now this Strider 2, the funny thing about it is, it comes with the original Strider that was in the arcades. So here you have the first Strider, and then you open it up, and it has the second Strider. But here's a funny thing about it. The original Strider, actually Strider 2 is on this disc, and the original Strider is on the Strider 2 disc. So they did a little bit of a goof on that. But regardless, it's really a lot of fun. If those of you played Strider, it's that 2D side-scrolling non-stop action. A lot of fun. It's a short game. Is it worth $100? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, if you want to get it for your collection, that's fine. No judgment. But if you're asking me my opinion, would I spend over $100, $100, $120 on Strider 2? No. Not because it's not fun. It's a very short game, and I just feel even back then when it first came out, when I got it back then, when it was $39.99, I felt gypped when I got it. Because I'm saying to myself, geez, I could beat the main game in like a couple of hours, and then the original Strider you could probably beat like in less than an hour and a half. I just felt like I didn't get my money's worth. So that's why I would not recommend spending that much money on it. But it's still a fun experience regardless. And the last game on this list, in this particular video, an expensive game for the original PlayStation. Remember we talked about the sequel a few moments ago? Well, here's the original, Klonoa. A side-scrolling 2D 0.5 type gameplay. For those of you that really, if I'm not really lending too much to you when it comes to explanation on that, you could look it up. For those of you that play games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Klonoa is a very good game. I highly recommend it. It's not a very long game, but for those of you that like platforming, you like the graphics, you like the cutesy type characters, this is definitely a game for you. This game will run you anywhere between $140 and $180. Is it worth it? $180? No. $150? No. $130? $100? Probably. Probably. It's really a good game. It's a nice addition to anybody's collection, but you got to understand, sometimes these games you got to watch what you spend, and sometimes it's just not worth it once they get past a certain point. Why is this game expensive? Why? Because it didn't sell well. It's a hidden gem, and that's why it's expensive. Back in 1998, people weren't looking to play games about Klonoa. It's an obscure title with an obscure character that no one cared about. 98, everyone was about the new booming role-playing game genre and other things. 3D games. This is not a full 3D game, so a lot of those things being, rather obscure hidden gem hurt the game, hurt the sales of the game. So those are just some expensive hidden gems recommendations I have for you. Please be on the lookout for another one coming real soon. Thank you for watching, everyone. Take care.